Straight up here on The Blueprint, we say good evening to Indian men's hockey coach Terry Walsh, and I hope he stays the Indian men's hockey coach for a long time. Terry, good evening. This is Anand Narasimhan from Times Now. Thank you for talking to us and joining us live. First up, we'd like to congratulate you for the work you have done with the boys and the heights that you have taken Indian hockey to. Secondly, getting straight to the point, when you said that sport decision-making process within the sporting bureaucracy in India, who are you talking about?
Well, firstly, thanks for having me on your show. It's really a privilege to be able to talk with you. The reality is that I've reached a point where, for me personally, the frustrations of the bureaucracy, as I call it, the sporting bureaucracy and the decision-making processes have just taken its toll, in combination with a personal situation of not being able to spend enough time in a family situation. So they're the two primary drivers. The reality is that when I talk about the sporting bureaucracy, I'm talking about the whole box and dice, everybody. It's not directed at Hockey India, it's not directed at SAI, it's not directed at the players or the coaches, it's directed at everybody, and it's endemic. And for the sport system to grow in India, I think there has to be some serious thought given to how you can change the way that the administrators actually operate and provide sporting administrators in the decision-making process. And I think that that's really the issue that I face. And we've got turnaround times of decisions are often too long. I mean, 2 weeks is a long time in elite sport. 4 weeks is just an eternity, and quite a lot of these decisions take at least that amount of time because the processes don't permit the people who are in those positions to make those instantaneous decisions and make change where necessary, in my view.
Terry, have you encountered this right from the start, right from the time last October when you first took charge? Have you encountered this, and have you highlighted these issues?
Well, it's a very difficult thing to change, I believe, and unless people really want to make a change, but you have to make small steps. You can't make an instantaneous across-the-board change. And as we know, change is not something that people accept. No one likes change because all of a sudden there's alteration, and because of alteration, some people move into different positions. And yes, it is. I see from where I sit that there's way too much unnecessary time wasting that goes on with reference to decision making and the implementation of decisions. Has it changed much over the 12 months that I've been here? No, it hasn't. Have I become a little more familiar with it? Yes, I have. Is it driving me to frustration? Yes, it is. But it continues to do so. It doesn't matter whether it's flight tickets or it's getting equipment, trying to move training programs around by just a several day period. Things which can actually happen instantaneously in other programs around the world, where you have the administration being really run by sporting administrators. They really understand what's going on, but most importantly, they have the capacity and the trust to make those decisions. It doesn't go back through the bureaucracy, and that's where I think we've got a problem.
Yeah, you said you're coming to the end of your tenure as a coach. Your contract comes to an end. It's due for renewal. Tell us one thing, and I'm getting straight to the point. Tell us the one thing or the one factor that will help you change your mind. Yes, you have personal issues, but every coach, every foreign coach, when you travel, you have to take that. There has to be something which offsets that, isn't it, Terry? What will that be? What will that one single factor be?
Well, firstly, let's clear things up. Number one, my contract actually went through, or does actually go through to the end of 2016. That's the first point. What I've done is put in a resignation which has a 1 month clause which shortens that down until the 19th or 20th of November.
Right.
That's the first point, so that's very, very important. The second point that you ask, what is the one factor that can change? I think the really important part is that we have to get a contract agreement which allows flexibility. You have to have flexibility, and when we talk about decision-making processes, the one glaring missing link in everything that happens is flexibility. And you have to rock and roll and make things work. And For example, if you're controlling a budget, you make things work and you fit it into that budget. The trips, the flights, the accommodation, the meals, all of those sorts of things. Now, we're used to doing that on a daily basis, but that's not what happens. And I would like to see just that change made, where the responsibility of a budget lies with the high performance unit in our sport. That would be unbelievable. It's not going to happen overnight, I understand that, but if there's a progressive thought to say, yeah, we're going to try and put this in place so that it happens in 3 years' time or 2 years' time, then I think that would be a very, very considerable piece that would make me rethink.
Well, very valid point. You talk about flexibility and trying to adapt, and you said you should reward a high-performing unit and focus on a high-performing unit. Have you raised this issue in the past? And has it met with any cognition?
Well, I think it probably everyone agrees with this particular move. The problem is implementing it. That's where the issue comes, because of the bureaucratic nature of things in the country. It's very difficult to make that change, and it has to be driven from somewhere. Someone's got to take that change, and while you've got so many people guarding different gates, it's very hard to do that. The only people who can open gates at this point in time are the top people in this case SAI or in Hockey India. They're the only ones who have the capacity to make decisions. And the reality for me is that if you employ people from outside as experts, give them a chance to do what they need to do.
When you highlight these issues, Terry, one can only imagine the daily issues that you face. You as a coach, the players, the support staff are facing hurdles at every step, isn't it? And has Hockey India or SAI done anything to lighten that entire process over the last 12 months?
Look, people are trying all the time to do things better. We really appreciate what SAI has done with reference to meal allowances, for example. I mean, we had a meal allowance movement which was substantial. It was a 50% increase in meal allowances to our group. But after the Asian Games, of course, that disappears. Now, we have a senior group and a junior group. We have differential amounts for the senior group and the junior group. Now, the juniors eat just as much as the seniors, yes, and they are equally important in the whole process of development. But we have to have, in my view, the individual sport, in this case Hockey India, we have to provide somehow, we have to figure out a way to help offset some of these costs. And I think we have to work together. Everyone has to work together to make things happen. We can't expect SAI to provide every dollar or every rupee that goes into the program. I think that there's in the world situation of high performance sport, there is a requirement for the sports to produce, and certainly Hockey India does. There's no question about that. But I think that somehow or other we have to make sure that these small issues, it doesn't matter whether it's getting another 2 or 4 dozen hockey balls or 3 more goals on the pitch, these things are relatively trivial issues. But if it takes you 4 weeks to have something happen, or 6 weeks, or indeed in some cases they never happen, then you've got a problem.
Well, you are highlighting some very endemic problems with our bureaucratic system and the way they approach sports in India. Terry, do indulge us for a minute because we've had a lot of hockey lovers, a lot of our viewers already calling in. Our phone lines are actually buzzing. Just putting through 1 or 2 of the callers. Saurabh is calling us from the city of Delhi. Saurabh, good evening. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Walsh. And I believe one of the best for halves who played in 1976, and I'm a big fan of yours. We need great Indian players who can learn, and young players. So how do you, if people like you leave, how do you produce another Rupinder who can get all the sides of a goalkeeper? How to change diets? Should players run with low glycemic diets? How they can dive with flat-chested? These only you can teach, and we unfortunately don't have players who can learn so quickly until we get a good coach who can shout on them and teach them. So we will miss your expertise.
Well, that's one. Terry, I hope you got that. I hope you got that. They're urging you to stay.
Yes, I did. Yeah, look, can I have a stab at answering it? Firstly, thanks for the question, but I think that there is lots of knowledge around, and we have to educate our coaches and we have to educate our players. You can't educate the players without educating the coaches, and that's a very important piece in the whole puzzle, and the whole structure has to work together. It has to work harmoniously. They don't have to do the same thing in every part of the country, but they have to link into the same network.
Right.
And so the education process is probably the answer to the question. That's what we have to
Terry,
really
our
improve.
effort today here,
And,
as we have you live with us here, on the show, our effort is to try and cut through the entire bureaucracy and try and get to the root of it. We've got DG Thompson of the Sports Authority of India with us on the phone. DG, you've heard what Terry has said, and he's highlighted some very key issues, something which is endemic in our bureaucratic system. What would you have to say to Terry Walsh? He says the single most important factor which would make him reconsider is flexibility and understanding the needs of the sports persons.
Yeah, I did hear Terry, speaking in on channel. I've just now got what you have told me. We never had an occasion to discuss about these issues, because today all of a sudden I got a letter from Terry Walsh and we were taken aback. So we don't know exactly what are the problems which he's facing, and whatever problems he has, he is free to come and discuss with us, and we can always sort it out. The flexibility which he's talking about is something which needs to be discussed, and we are open. We have no problem. We have got one of the finest coaches in the world, and we don't want to lose Terry. He's a fantastic coach and he has produced results, and we are all extremely happy, and we were looking forward to a very long association with Terry Walsh. So losing him is not something which we will allow. We would love to have him with us, and we will definitely be open to various suggestions, and let's discuss tomorrow. I would love to meet him tomorrow in my office, and we will
request you to just stay on with us because Terry is listening to you. He is there and he's listening to you, so we just like him to react to what you have said.
Yeah.
My reaction is, look, I think DG Thompson is really keen to try and make things work. But we have to have sporting administrators in place to actually implement what the decision makers decide. That's very, very important. What we miss is the actual implementation arm. So you can have all the ideas under the sun, but we have to make those actually work inside the system. And I think that if we all agree that that's a direction we can take, then I think that there's a huge future. I think you'll find a big turnaround in the number of medals that India claims on the international scene. So I think there's a great upside. But open dialogue is the way to go, and I'm really pleased, and I have no doubt, having spoken to DG Thompson before, he's very open to discussion. We're very open to discussion, but when you're at the coalface day to day, you have to have support in instantaneous decisions, and the people who can make those the best, in our case, happen to be Roland Altmans and myself, and that's why we've been employed. So we would dearly love to see much greater flexibility in that area, and it sounds as though we don't want to work outside the boundaries, we want to work inside. We don't want more money, we just want to use it in what we consider the most effective way.
Gigi, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I could not hear what Terry Walsh said.
Terry Walsh, Gigi has just said that it's great to have ideas, but the ideas that come from the top and what is discussed at the top level needs to be implemented on a day-to-day basis. Somebody needs to be given the authority. Sporting administrators need to be given the authority to take instantaneous decisions. He says we don't want more money. We want the freedom to use the money the way we feel is the best way to put it or implement it.
Very good. In fact, I am totally in agreement with what Terry Walsh has just now said. Because you see, like today, what's happening? We are apportioning the money which Government of India gives, and we are apportioning it among various federations. The money is given to the federations, and the federations are the ones who are, utilizing it for various activities, which of course is discussed with us. We finalize all this annual calendar, and if there has to be flexibility, I have no problem with that. So long as the chief coach demands that this is not the tournament where I should participate, something else I need to participate, we are free. We have no problem. But then this has to be, told to us in advance. I'm not saying that you should tell in months in advance, but then definitely it should not be on the at the penultimate hour. So if Terry Walsh feels that some of the tournaments or some of the exposure visits are not the ones that need to take place, we are definitely with him.
Right. Yeah, Terry, you heard that, and we saw your whoop, the reaction also. So one key hurdle, Gigi Thompson says, can be overcome. But Gigi, here's the other part. Terry Walsh says decision making takes so much of time. You cannot afford that in sports like hockey and across sport. You can take a week, but you can't take 4 weeks for what should take 3 days or 1 week.
Yeah, you see, I'm totally in agreement with what Terry Walsh says. I am also articulating the same point again and again, saying that this is sports is something where you have to take quick decisions, and perhaps I cannot, as a government officer, I need to follow what is known as GFR in our terminology. That is the general financial rules. Sometimes it may not be possible for me to follow this GFR to see that certain decisions are taken. Because in the interest of Indian sports, we have to take some quick decisions. It could be, maybe it may be importing of some latest equipment. It may be sending a team to some other place other than the one which we had earlier decided. So these decisions have to be instantaneous. This has to be taken, and what Terry Walsh says is we are in agreement, and I don't find anything wrong in what he's saying.
But gentlemen, if two of the three people involved, be it the chief coach or the technical administrators and the Sports Authority of India, are in agreement, where is the problem, Terry Walsh?
Well, look, I don't think it's any one group. I think that Hockey India, we have our own issues in that area, and we take considerable time because of the process that is required. I think autonomy is really important, and I think if we can work on getting a process that we can implement effectively, and so that our CEO, when guided by the high performance people to make this decision and implement that particular expenditure, it's done. If that can happen, then I think that we will replicate what goes on in the rest of the world with reference to high performance programs.
Now, Gigi, you heard Terry Walsh there?
Yeah.
You heard Terry Walsh there?
You see, because probably Terry Walsh has got a lot more things to say. Practically, the problems which he is facing today, I guess, is that we prepare an annual calendar. This is discussed 1 year in advance. And this calendar is not sacrosanct, if the chief coach feels that no, this is not that is to be done or this is to be changed, it is possible. It is not that this is something which cannot be changed. So I guess that he's having some problems with his own federation in prioritizing the tournaments or the exposures or something like that. But if he has a problem, he should tell me, because technically I am the employer. Even though for all practical purposes he's working with the federation, the appointing authority is DG Sai.
No,
so any problem.
Gigi Thompson, can I be very direct with you, please, if you don't mind? Is Terry Walsh caught in a crossfire between Hockey India and the Sports Authority of India? Is the sport is the chief coach, the technical team, the sporting administrator and the player paying the price of a bureaucratic tussle between these two bodies? I'm being very plain and blunt. Please do answer.
I appreciate what you are asking. See, today the so-called tussle between the Hockey India and Sports Authority is all created. There is no tussle between us. We have been supporting Hockey India to the extent possible. We have been extremely liberal. We have been giving them money. We have been giving them foreign exposure. But then, there is a limit. When Government of India gives me 120 crores for training for various disciplines, I need to divide this money amongst various.
But Gigi Thompson, sorry to interrupt you there, but you had Terry Walsh saying right now, and you heard that, he says, we don't want more money. Just give us the freedom to use our budget. Just give us the freedom and the autonomy to work our budget the way we feel best, in the best interest of hockey and the players. Now, is that so much of an issue?
It is not a big issue, but then we need to discuss, because you see, we are dealing with public funds, and we need to, there must be someone who is accountable. It cannot be so happen that, you give X amount of money to someone and say that, you do whatever you want. And I cannot say like that. There has to be certain limits. There are certain Lakshman Rekhas which we cannot cross. So those things we need to discuss. It's not as if that, X amount of money is given to someone and say that now if this is the money, now you do whatever you want. I don't have the authority to do so, because I am answerable to the government. I am answerable to the parliament. So definitely the money which we spend, we need to know how it is spent.
Clearly,
where it is
I don't think Terry Walsh has an issue with that at all, Terry. Do you? You agree with what Gigi Thompson is saying, right?
Yeah, look, it's very clear to me that there are a lot of constraints financially that exist here in India that don't exist in the structures outside India in many of the sporting worlds. The trust and the reliability and the accountability lies with the program, and at the moment all of that lies with the head of SAI, and I understand that to a degree, but there has to be trust that's passed into the system. And if in our case, if Hockey India is the minder of those funds, and the high performance unit for the men's hockey and for the women's hockey in our case, in our discipline, if they're responsible for that budget, then they are responsible to make it work. And in the end, if they don't get the results that are needed from the money that's put in, then the budget's changed accordingly. If the budget is used effectively and the results improve, then, just like everything else, there's a possibility that the budget can change. And I think that's generally the way that it works across the globe. And I believe that we have to look at the way that the financial constraints are monitored inside the bureaucracy of Indian sport.
Very well said there, Terry Walsh. Pushed for time here, Gigi Thompson and Terry Walsh. So, Terry, I'm just going to ask you this. Gigi Thompson has sent you an open invitation. Please come across. Let's sit across the table and sort this out, because both of us want the better of Indian hockey. Are you willing to reconsider your decision?
Well, we've spoken today very clearly with Hockey India and with SAI. And the reality is that my contract now finishes on the 19th, I believe, of November. And we have time to readdress some of these issues. One of the issues for me is being able to spend time in Australia. But if I get on a plane, it doesn't mean I stop working. I work on the plane and I can work back in my home environment in Perth. And I shouldn't need to be on leave as soon as I get on the plane, just to satisfy my requirements to be with my family. I have a different issue if I'm going to Bali for a holiday for a week. Sure, that's trust again. You have to understand that if I'm doing the work that is necessary, and I believe, I've done it for many years in the past, you have to work, otherwise you are defeated. And when you're a high performance coach, you're all about success, and you don't throw away opportunity carelessly.
You've made your points, Terry Walsh. Gigi Thompson is listening. We just hope that the two of you, along with Hockey India, can sort this issue, because we're very clear, because that's what our viewers also believe. Hockey India, in the sense Indian hockey, the players need you, Terry Walsh, not just until Rio 2016, even beyond, because the work you're doing with them is fantastic. Sincerely appreciate Gigi Thompson and Terry Walsh joining us live here this evening on The Blueprint. Thank you so much for talking to us.